Do you think at any point, like, let's probably not in recent, probably not in the next 100 years, but let's say 1,000, 10,000 years, do you think that we'll ever get to the point where there's no country and it's just like all humanity exists?
Maybe, but that would mean one person would have to take over everybody. And
No, like it wouldn't be any person. Like it would just be like everybody exists. Like there's like,
so we're gonna go back to like Mesopotamia and Montecito and just, live in huts and, basically say, oh, we're humans.
Yeah, we're humans. But like, I don't know. I think it could be developed better than what it was. Like everything has changed, right? Like 10,000 years ago, there wasn't democracy. Now there's democracy, right? So like, what's the next thing? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Someone For Podcast. I'm here with Anthony. How's it going, bro?
Hey, Shyam. Happy to be here.
Yeah. We had a pretty long conversation before this. a lot of shit.
2 hours.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about were people saying our names wrong. Like a lot of instances. Yeah, I know, dude. Like having a unique name is a weird. It's different. Like you had to correct a lot of fucking people.
Oh yeah.
Like especially if they've never heard of it before. You just got to keep correcting. It's not like a hard thing to do, but it's sometimes you just like, why can't you get it right? Right? Like,
oh yeah. And then there's the curse of being born with such a simple name. Like my sisters have the most exotic names you can think of, like from Northern Africa, Spain. Then I'm just Anthony over here.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've always told my parents, like, you couldn't have said Antonio or something.
Antonio, yeah, like a little spice to it. A little something.
But yeah, like you were saying about last names.
Yeah.
Like Cobos, nobody could ever pronounce right.
Really?
It was either Cobos or something.
I know. And you said one story of on graduation, right?
Oh yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah. Like I said before, basically we were going up the podium and there was two teachers to the right. One was my 11th grade English teacher, Mr. Finn. The other guy, never met him in my life. So I was like, oh crap. I got to go to the line where it's Mr. Finn. Of course I got the guy who didn't know how to pronounce my name. Make it worse, I was Cobos instead of Cobos.
Dude, damn.
So yeah.
They really fucked it up.
It's like a villain arc, basically. It's like, now I got to get my revenge.
Yeah, somebody says your name wrong, and now you want to get revenge right away.
I got a vendetta now.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like sometimes with names, it's weird because you're given your name. Like as you come into the world, like you have no control. Like after you turn 18, of course you could change it and stuff, but fuck, like nobody. Then that you're just
the only benefit I have about my name is that it's like mine. It's like if I meet somebody else, it's like they got to be related to me or something. But
yeah. Same with my family, dude. Like no, if you have Ronvelia as your last name, just know we're probably related. We're just
right.
there's
practically family.
Yeah, practically family. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is a perfect segue because I wanted to talk about how like colonialism has kind of affected the world.
Yeah.
Because like for example, I'm of Spanish descent, and like my ancestors, they like basically came to the Americas and pillaged and all that. And it's interesting how like I'm Native American and like Spanish, but like I'm conflicted because it's like on the one hand, like my ancestors, they created such a big massive empire, but at the same time they enslaved my other half Native American.
Damn.
So it's so screwed.
I know. Yeah. People don't realize like Columbus was not like England. He's like Spanish, right?
I think he was Italian.
Italian?
Like that.
Okay. Yeah. I think what happened was the Spanish empire, or it wasn't even an empire, like their kingdom, like the king and queen, they wanted people to go on expeditions to other lands, like what's out there in this world, right?
Oh yeah.
And so they sent a bunch of explorers, and even to like India, I think, like they tried to go to India. They didn't know how to do that, so they just went to the Americas. And it was like the New World and shit.
Yeah, they were hoping to find a route to Asia. Yeah. That's why they call it the West Indies, because Christopher Columbus or Cristobal Columbus.
Yeah.
Basically thought, I landed in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
there was no way to tell that too. Like if you got there, maybe, you know, you could see people and, you know, people that have already been there, they might describe to you what it's like, and that's all you got. Like maybe, you know, you see fucking trees.
I think that, I think like it took 100 years or something like that for them to discover that it was actually a different continent altogether.
So after he got there and then
it was Amerigo Vespucci who actually discovered that this is a different continent. I think it was when he hit Brazil or something like that, that they realized that this isn't a completely different land.
Yeah. But this isn't the route to Asia. This is like something else.
No. It's just crazy because, you know, it's like you're so conflicted over this. It's like, you know, it's like if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't exist. But it's at the same time, it's like, I really wish it didn't happen, you know. I'd really love to live in a world where there's like just this Native American country.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. That's crazy, bro. And now they're discovering, recently I saw a video, either it was on, I think Vox, maybe. I saw this video of different civilizations in the Amazon rainforest that they're discovering just now.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize this, but the Spanish, they never really conquered Latin America per se. They just occupied certain parts of it. Like, for example, in Mexico, the last native tribes weren't put down, like assimilated, until the early 1920s.
Really?
And it's because Mexico's so freaking big.
Yeah.
You know, there's literally jungles and, you know, deserts, and it's like there was no way they were going to be able to occupy all of that. So like a lot of tribes, even up until the 20th century, were still nomadic per se. I know that's a little barbaric, but it's true that, like, you know, they were just, you know, hunter-gatherers still. And it wasn't until the early 20th century that they pushed for more like, you know, basically assimilation. Like, for example, in Argentina and Chile, there was a region called Patagonia, and the Spanish made an agreement with the natives. They weren't going to go in there because it's just impossible. Yeah. But the Argentinians... It's like
a mountainous region, right?
Oh, yeah. But the Argentinians and Chileans were like, nope, this is our territory. We're going to occupy it. And as a result, like millions of natives just died of disease because they'd never been in contact.
I know. That's the main thing that happened to them, were it's not that these colonists came and like killed every single one, like by their with swords or whatever.
There was some documentation of that, but it was mostly disease.
Yeah.
And, you know, cultural assimilation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was similar with the Portuguese, though. They just didn't care about assimilating every tribe because it's such a big territory, Brazil.
Yeah.
So like,
and then I saw that video and they're discovering these civilizations that had to be built by man. Like there was different channels for or different ways of channeling water to a certain region.
Oh yeah.
And just basically man-made structures that used to be there, but now was covered by the Amazon rainforest for, you know, I don't know how long, hundreds of years or whatever.
There could be up to 1,000 unknown tribes that we don't know about. I mean, it wasn't until, I think the most recent one was like the predecessors to the Navajo people. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but they were the Cliff people, and they discovered that they came from another ancient tribe, but they don't know what it was. And there's like, I think the most interesting one I learned about was the Mississippian culture. Basically, they built these giant mounds, and we don't know where they came from. Actually, they were identified as another tribe, but that tribe didn't build those mounds.
Really?
So we don't know where they went. But like, you know, you see that common. There's like this dark trend in Native American history, like with the Mayans, the Aztecs, where their civilizations collapse and then they're never seen again, and they like assimilate with other tribes.
Yeah.
So like something was going on before the Europeans showed up, and of course, many have suggested it was like crop failure and like, you know, like civil wars. But yeah, something happened. Something was going on, like,
and
to the point where.
And it's crazy how we still haven't figured everything out yet. Like we with all the technology we have, we're uncovering new shit like every year, basically, of different civilizations.
I think we probably know more about space than we know about, you know, some of the tribes that lived and breathe here, you know.
I know. Did you see that new telescope footage of the James Webb telescope, the image of space?
I actually haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
Even though my dad is a big astrologist. You know?
Oh, okay.
I kind of batting myself in the head. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
You know,
Here, I'll pull it up for you so you could see. It's pretty fucking wild.
Although, yeah, we're not sponsored, but I'd highly recommend you visit the Griffith Observatory. It's it's hella great.
This is the image right here.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fucking crazy. Like what was explained to me by Neil deGrasse Tyson, he said in this video that what you're seeing with this telescope is like putting, in the grand scheme of things, it's like grabbing a piece of sand, like a grain of sand, and holding it up like this. That's the amount of space that you're seeing.
Wow.
Right here. And this is, galaxies, right? These are probably stars and, different galaxies, and it's all in infrared, and they do some, technological configuration to make it so that it's, RGB, so that we could see it with light, because we can't see infrared as human beings. But it's crazy, like this image is fucking insane.
Oh yeah, dude. I honestly wish when I see stuff like that, I'm like, there's probably stuff going on in our universe that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
And it's like, it'd be great if like it's tragic what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, but it's like, it'd be great if we could just put our differences aside and just like explore space. Like, I think Elon Musk said like Mars has like so many vital resources we could be using right now. But the problem is like, no one wants to spend like 30 billion going up there and,
and it's risk. Like nobody has ever done it, first off.
Yeah.
And, you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. Like we sent rovers, that's actually a fucking crazy feat as well, to send a rover and then, also have, that collecting samples of shit and, viewing the terrain. But it's a different type of thing when you send a human onto Mars, right? Like I'm pretty sure you have to be in the spacesuit and everything. Like it's not like human conditions.
No, I don't think so.
Right?
I think like the air isn't breathable enough or something like that.
So
I remember I saw a funny meme not too long ago where it was like, what we think life on Mars would be like. And it was like just a bunch of like rovers and stuff. And they were like, what it would actually be like. And it was like LA traffic and it's like an orange storm. It's like, humans would definitely ruin Mars for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think that's our future though, is expanding to different planets or even galaxies.
I mean,
that's maybe that's what the universe wants for us.
The debate will be though, who's going to get there first, China or US or Russia,
But when you're planning, when you're seeing things in the grand scope of the universe, we know it's infinite. Like, we know that
we're insignificant compared to
infinite. So insignificant that you can't even imagine how small compared to everything, because we haven't even seen everything, and you can't even imagine everything that exists.
I think like humans only have like 10,000 years of history, and the universe is like billions of years older than that.
And if the Big Bang theory is correct, and that's that's what I believe happened, the universe is constantly expanding.
Oh yeah,
expanding. Like never stopping. It's not just like, okay, there's this amount of the universe here. No, it's infinite. Meaning, like, I don't think most people understand infinite means. I think like it would have variations even in the universe, that there are infinite universes.
Oh yeah,
right. Like it could be that
like
big.
like alternate dimensional.
Yeah, alternate dimensions. Like where I could have set this. I could have picked this water bottle up. And maybe in another dimension, I never picked it up. Yeah. And what did that cause? Like,
that's
something
that's such a surreal theory. I've been seeing a lot of movies doing that. Like, where like alternate dimensions, not alternate, like different universes, if you had done this or done that.
Yeah, done that.
Yeah, definitely.
The butterfly effect of it all.
Makes me wonder, like, like if my mother had just stayed in Costa Rica, would I just be a Tico running down the street? Definitely interesting theory.
I know, dude. It's crazy.
It probably, I wouldn't be surprised if like something like that does exist, because, the world is just so chaotic and crazy. It's like, you get to a point where you see so much stuff. You're like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone's invented a time machine and they're just not telling anybody about it.
I know.
It's like,
I mean, we have the capacity to imagine it, like what that would be, right? Like movies have time machines, like there's things that we've seen and imagined, but there's also some parts of it like that we have created, like with a computer and a fucking iPhone. Like, you know, like there's some things that if you told a person 1,000 years ago that we would have, they'd say, no, what do you that's blasphemy. That's
the weirdest argument I ever saw was, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The weirdest argument I ever saw was someone said YouTube is basically a time machine because you can look at footage that was like shot over 100 years ago. And that's like the closest you're going to get to those people.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's actually insane that people like thought about recording that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like no joke. You can actually watch footage of like a pope from like, I think like 1901. The guy was born in 1810. And it's like, you can actually see footage of him walking. It's like so surreal.
And footage of World War II, some footage of World War One. Like, the film changed, or video footage changed everything. Like once you could see it. And I think that brought the world closer together too, because people were able to see how other people live. Like photographers were able to capture what it's like living in
and as a
this
result,
area.
We're able to examine it a lot better.
Yeah. Because you don't know how would you know how somebody in Vietnam lives if you've never been there, you've never met the people there, and you've never seen any video of it. Like you just, you know, it doesn't even cross your mind. You probably don't, like 500 years ago, you probably didn't, or I don't even know if Vietnam was a country 500 years ago, but like, you know, whenever.
I think it was like a bunch of fractured states.
You wouldn't know if you were living in, you know, North America or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So
it's funny you mention that because it's like the concept of nationality is like more of a modern thing. Yeah. Like, you know, I don't think like ancient, like I don't think the Mughal.
It was more kingdom, right?
I don't think like the Mughal Empire, you know, what is modern day India and Bangladesh. Yeah. I don't think they ever considered themselves like, oh, I'm Mughal. You know, it's like they just kind of were like, yeah, we exist.
Yeah.
It
was just like this empire, and everybody would just.
Yeah, everybody just kind of existed.
Fall in line, basically. Like
that's why, like, there's like in this weird topic where like people say, oh, they like to fetishize flags because they're like every empire had a flag. You know, the Roman Empire had a flag. The Han Dynasty had a flag, but it's like, you know, this like made up history in a way because like there's like literally no proof they ever had. Like they had banners, but like the concept of nationality and like, you know, being a citizen
that you were a part of this empire and like that's what you got to represent and everything.
I guess you could make the argument Rome kind of thought that way because everybody in the empire thought they were Roman.
Yeah.
But I guess like, you know, the modern concept didn't come until like the 20th century with all the nationalism and, you know, oh, I'm German. No, I'm Serbian. No, I'm Costa Rican. You know, that was more of a modern thing.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it's definitely modern. It's not something that's
even like, you know, modern states, like even countries we think like, you know, oh, they probably knew what they were, like places like Egypt, you know, that like the idea of nationalism is like a new thing, you know, because they were ruled by various countries like the British, Ottoman, you know, just a bunch of different countries,
different empires. Yeah. And you look back in history and at that time, what empires and large empires like the Roman Empire, well, I think the reason why it was why it fell apart was because you had to constantly defend it. Like you had to have people on the borders every fucking day, 24/7, to like make sure that this stays. You know,
I mean, we're talking an empire literally going from modern day Morocco all the way to like modern day Armenia. There was no freaking way they were gonna be able to govern all of that. That's why like they tried splitting it up into 4. I think it was called tetrarchies. I'm probably screwing it up. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll look it up later.
They like tried splitting it up, but like, you know, it's so tempting to like corruption and stuff. There was no way that was going to last. It's honestly a miracle they made it to 1,000 years. Cause it's like, well, I guess if you're those people who think like Constantinople was like Rome. Believe it or not, there's still people who like say Rome never fell.
Really?
Because there's this whole thing where there was this weird technicality, and this is gonna fuck you in the head. No offense.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if you can handle it.
I'll try my best.
So basically, when Constantinople was overthrown by the Ottomans, the last Roman emperor, basically it passed on to his brother, and his brother tried getting help. He went to Hungary and all sorts of other countries to get help, and nobody wanted to help him. Okay, and basically he tried selling his title. Like, I'm the Roman emperor.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted it. Yeah. So his last dying thing he did, he gave the title to the king and queen of Spain.
Really?
Isabella and Ferdinand.
Damn. So
people technically argue that Spain is the new Rome.
Oh, okay.
And it's at first it sounds like no, it's not how it works.
But isn't the king and queen, they don't exist now, right? Or do they still?
Spain still has a king.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Philippe IV, I believe that's his name.
Yeah.
But
do they still run like government through him, or is it like a special another thing?
I believe it's a constitutional monarchy, so like he barely has any authority. But people have made the argument that he's technically the Roman emperor because they passed this title. Yeah. And at first it doesn't seem like it has a lot of credibility, but one of the compelling arguments is that Spain was historically like the second Rome in a way.
Yeah.
Like they were the most Latinized province and, you know.
Damn.
I mean, I guess you can make the argument. It's just the title. It doesn't like they never.
What makes it official, right? Like, is it just that guy saying it?
And some people think, oh, Rome never fell. This is Rome. Yeah. But I mean, it's just kind of a interesting story, but literally there's probably not really much credibility to it. It's just kind of a thing that like Roman fanboys like to say.
I know, dude. Just the empires in general, like the Mongol Empire, that fascinates me. That fucking fascinates
me. It fascinates me how like quickly it fell.
Really?
Like, you know?
Yeah.
It just crumbled.
And also how quickly they gained territory, right? Like they started in this, like, you know, I think
it was it Mongolia, like the Mongolian steppe.
Yeah, around there, like near Russia, like on that side of Russia. And they went all the way into China, got all the way across into what is it? Eastern Europe, like that region, like all across that Asia, basically.
Oh yeah, and it was really impressive how far they got.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like they made it all the way to Poland and like Hungary. That's really impressive.
And with horses, bro, like no flights, just horseback and bow and arrows to kill people.
I feel like it was easier back then to invade a country because, you know, it's not like today where I'll threaten nuclear war if you invade me. It's like now, back then, you know, you could just easily get on horseback and be like, this is mine now.
Yeah. And there was any forecasting of, you know, nowadays militaries have radars of every plane that flies by or anything that happens. It's tracked, and security cameras. Before, like, some guy in some army could just go right through your village and you had no idea they were coming, and you just had to do whatever they told you to do, or else they'd kill you, right?
I think, personally, this is a personal opinion, I think building an empire is kind of easy in the grand scheme of things. Keeping it together, that's
how
another
would you
story.
build it? How, if you just as not just if you can, like if it was possible in your imagination, whatever, how would you go about building an empire? Where would you start? Like if I place you, you could be placed in any location.
I'm biased, but I think I'd like to make a Latin American empire because, you know, I'm Central American.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been attempts. I don't know if you know that. But
to make another empire?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many attempts there have been. I'll get to that in a minute. But if I was to do it, I definitely want to like invade several Latin American countries and, you know, just be like, this is mine now. And I'm like, if you culturally assimilate, you know, you get certain housing and stuff and all that. And like, I just keep on going. And, you know, basically if they resist, it's like, nope, we're going to move you somewhere else. I basically start with Mexico because they got all the weapons, and, you know, then I just keep going to Guatemala, El Salvador, and maybe Belize if, you know, they want to.
Yeah.
They're not really, I don't really consider them Central American. They're more like Caribbean and like English or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd probably keep going. But I personally don't think that would honestly happen because Latin America is really stubborn.
Yeah, dude.
Like they've tried uniting the countries, but like nationalism is just so high there. It's like it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I think everybody wants like freedom. Like once I think I've never been a part of any imperialistic, you know, government.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone.
Nowadays I don't know, but yeah, like just to imagine being part of where this whole country has complete power over you. And you have to follow their culture, their, you know, language, everything that they do, you have to do.
I personally think it would be a little easier if everybody spoke the same language. And that was the case there. But like there was this country in Latin America called the Central American Confederation. I believe that's what it was called.
Yeah.
It's probably got some different name, but it was basically the gist. The problem with that was that it was too like the structure was too easy for corruption, where like you'd have basically a guy from El Salvador ruling the whole province, and like, you know, he'd be like, oh, let the regional governor take care of that. It was really confusing because they had a governor, and then they'd have a president of that same province.
Really?
Yeah, it was really confusing. Like I've tried figuring out the whole system, but even I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to do. And it makes sense it fell apart because they got tired of that. You know, it's like there's a civil war. There's like the threat of civil war happening every 5 minutes. It's like you're not going to want to be part of this union anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's ironic because there was this guy, Francisco Morazon. He tried reuniting everybody together. And then my mother's country, Costa Rica, they said, no, we're not joining it again. Because they were basically the least focused on, because they focused on all the other countries except Costa Rica. Okay. So he invades Costa Rica, sets up a government, and then he gets betrayed and gets executed. And it's like, there's so many episodes of that happening. There was another guy in Guatemala. He's actually on the 5 Guatemalan bill. I don't remember his name, but you know, you can like flash a picture of that. Yeah. Anyway, he basically has this dream where he's like, I'm going to do what Otto von Bismarck did in Germany, where Otto von Bismarck made the Germans go to war with the French, and it united everybody together.
When was that?
This was in 1871. Oh, okay. Basically, he made the Germans want to fight the French. Like he said, look, they're like trying to start a war with us. If we unite together, we'll be stronger. And that's how Germany was born. He's like, I'm going to do the same, but I'm in Guatemala. So he basically sends this is real, by the way. Okay. He sends a letter to El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica saying, join my union or I'm going to invade you. Only Honduras says, come on over. Yeah. El Salvador's like, fight me. And so he invades El Salvador and he gets killed by his own men.
Damn.
Like, no joke. And it was so awkward, the Guatemalans had to go home. Like, they literally marched out of El Salvador, and they're like, yeah. I mean, there's conflicting reports how he died, but it's believed he was killed by his own men because they were so incompetent. Yeah. Like, you know, basically how the old guns work. I think they shot him in the back of the head by accident. Really? I feel bad for that guy who shot him. It must have been really awkward. It's like, what do we do now?
Yeah, they probably killed his ass too. Like some guy killed him because he shot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But like I said, there's been more attempts after that. Like there was this famous guy, William Walker. He tried taking over Nicaragua. He was from Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not even joking about this. He wanted to create a slave colony in Nicaragua.
What?
And he's like, I'm going to expand the Confederacy down here. Well, the Confederacy wasn't a thing yet, but he basically wanted to make it a slave state. Damn. And of course, you know, Central America was like, nope, they kicked him out. But yeah, he was like he wasn't like saying it, but he was implying, you know, Central America's next.
But just one guy though, like.
Yeah, one guy. Of course. I shit you not. He goes back to the US and he's like, I'm going to invade Honduras now. And the Hondurans got wind of this and they killed him. He's still buried there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, you can see his grave.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, this just goes to show that nobody that's human, bro, like likes to be controlled by people. Like no human would accept control and abuse by a ruling power.
Especially if it's corrupt. I don't think you want to be part of a union where one province is being focused and the others are just being like, deal with it. Yeah.
I know. Like, you need to have freedom. Like people innately want to do what they want.
Like, I don't know if you noticed, but unions just don't last anymore. Like, I'm not talking about like a federal government, like the European Union or something like that. Like, I'm talking like union states between other states combining. Like, you used to see that a lot more. Like, you know, you used to have like your Egyptian and Sudan and, you know, your Yugoslavia. But like now that doesn't happen anymore. Like, I think the last union that like broke apart was like, it was like Serbia and Montenegro. It's they just, you know, a union just doesn't work anymore. It's like, you know, like countries can't combine anymore and, you know, just like hope to solve everything because like one province is going to be screwed, you know?
Yeah, people just want to do whatever they want. Like if a group of people decide that this is how we want to do things, this is how we want to run things, this is our economy, you know, let them do that shit. Like, and when other people have their own hands in it, and try to fuck with it just because they have a more powerful army, just because they can, the people that like I personally, I don't see the benefit in doing it. Like you had to convince people of that land, of that territory, that you should follow us. And that's a hard thing to do. Like everything that they've grown up with, the culture, the food, the diet, like all that. And then now you had to say that, okay, here's this new shit. Yeah. They're not gonna want to.
Like there will always be people who are nostalgic for that. But like there's going to be a ton of people who said, that was awful. I hated living in that, union and stuff. Yeah. But like, it's like, I don't think we're ever going to see unions like that. Like with what Russia's trying to do with Ukraine, it's like they're trying to pull them as a providence. It's like, I don't think stuff like that works anymore. It's like, you can't, it's not like what like Russia's doing. They're like being very colonial. Yeah. And it's like, that's basically colonialism. You just can't do that anymore.
You're trying to take away territory.
It's like,
just through like pure firepower.
Back in the old days, you could just like take any country you wanted. But like now you can't even do that really anymore. Cause it's like, the governments are so like, set. It's like everybody expects to see a Ukraine on the map. They don't expect to see it part of Russia anymore. It's like, colonialism is basically a thing of the past, but I mean, neocolonialism on the other hand, that's still going strong, Yeah. I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Like basically what China's doing,
Yeah. We talked about that in the car ride over here, bro. Like,
it's basically what they do for faithful viewers on there. What they're doing is they're basically, hey, I'm going to build a bridge in Uganda for you. And like Uganda's like, sure, totally. I'll take a free bridge. They build it. Of course, Uganda doesn't have the money to pay for it. And China's like, okay, it's my bridge and I'm going to make you pay interest for it. And basically this area is now mine. Yeah. Yeah. They're basically doing what the British did in Hong Kong.
Like that's a loan though. Like they're going to build it and here's the debt you owe us now. And they're not going to be able to pay that debt.
Oh yeah. I feel like though the one area of the world they're definitely driving influence in that people don't talk about, and it honestly should be talked about, is Latin America. I keep bringing it up, but like, for example, like in Nicaragua, they tried building another Panama Canal because the Panama Canal is expensive. And, of course.
Is it owned by Panama, right?
Yeah. The U.S. gave up control, I believe, in the 90s.
Yeah, I saw a video on that. It's fascinating. It's like Teddy Roosevelt had this idea and there was, it's a long ass story. But
I love the story. I'll simplify it a little bit, but like, basically the French and the French had built the Suez Canal in Egypt. They want to do the same in Panama. It was a complete disaster. I think like 2,000 people died of malaria. And like the Colombian government, because at the time Panama was Colombia. Yeah. They just, wrote it off as a disaster.
No, the disaster was because it was through mountainous regions, right? Like it wasn't like, just a level.
You see the Panama Canal today and it's like grassy land and stuff. But back then it was just jungle. Yeah, jungle. And it's like they literally had to cut that. And like, can't imagine how sweaty those guys must have been. Yeah,
and like the humidity.
Yeah, mosquitoes everywhere. Anyway. So basically, I think the 19th century comes, or 19th century, 20th century comes around. And basically Teddy Roosevelt's like, hey, I want to build a canal in Panama. And Colombia this time, they're like, hell no, after what happened last time. So what he does is conveniently, Panama is having thoughts about independence because Colombia had a civil war and it completely screwed them over because like for years they were like, hey, can you help us with this? And they're like, we're focused on our own thing. It's like, tell your governor or whoever to fix it. And like, they're just like, let's just become an independent country. And so what it is that the Colombians wanted to stop this independence movement, but the only way to get there was by train and the Americans owned the train. So the Colombians had to turn around and go home. And Panama became a country, and then they built the canal.
And there was like some agreement, right, with Teddy Roosevelt. They made
an agreement where it would be American owned. And
they fucked.
But over the years, that became a really shitty agreement because it's like the Panamanians couldn't make that much money off of it. And like the only really money I think they were making on it was like through tourism items, like tourist items. Yeah. And so they eventually had to hand it back over. But that must have been really messed up. It's like half your country split in half by American owned territory.
I know, dude. And Teddy Roosevelt, bro, like he knew the only way that they were going to allow this is if he was on the Panamanian side. Is that Panamanian?
Yeah, the Panamanian side.
Okay, yeah, Panamanian side of letting them be independent. So he's like, yeah, I'll just join you guys, whatever.
Gave them the guns.
Yeah, gave them everything.
Get it done, and
we'll give you complete freedom, all right?
Yeah.
But just give us this, you know?
mean,
here's a little side piece.
I wouldn't say complete freedom, honestly.
Yeah, not
because there was a lot of episodes of they were getting involved in their election. Like, I think Panama is the only recorded instance of the U.S. removing their president. Really? They had a president who was like so into, like, he was literally allowing the Medellin cartel to like sell drugs. And like they also let up, like that's why Panama's famous for, you know, the money wiring spot. Because they were allowing these, you know, gangs and mafia people to like have banks.
Just corruption. Yeah. Damn.
But yeah, it's the only instance I can think of where they actually forced a president, like publicly, like, you know, like you can actually see it, like they actually kicked him out. And I've never seen that happen. Like when the US like overthrows a president or anything, it's always sneaky. It's like it's a rebellion within the people that they're paying, or it's like, oh, you know, this guy's a bad guy and, you know, we're going to invade him, like, you know, what they did with Saddam. But like Panama's the only example I can think of where they didn't even hide it. They wanted him out of office. And like, yeah, that's like, can you, like, that's such a weird thing. Like seeing a country overthrow another country's president. Like he was a bad guy, but like, it's like, you know, crazy. I mean,
and then you were saying about China now starting a new canal that they want to make.
Yeah. So basically,
can you pull this up a little bit? There you go.
The Panama Canal is basically really expensive, and when the U.S. owned it, they could block any ship they wanted. So like the Soviets hated it because they'd have to go around like the coast of Argentina and, you know, all the way up there to go to the Pacific. And so they actually talked to Nicaragua in the 80s about building a canal because, you know, they were tired of that treatment. And I don't know if you know this, Nicaragua became communist in the 70s and up until like the 90s when it became basically, you know, a democracy again.
Is that that's probably because the US had influence?
You have no idea how crazy that was. I think Nicaragua was the US playground along with Panama and Colombia.
Anytime during Cuba. That time, if any country was like communist, just know the US was gonna be there with like expedited army, everything, Navy.
That was a whole other thing. But basically the US put this family called the Somoza family in charge of Nicaragua. They hated him. No joke. He was assassinated in Panama by a Nicaraguan revolutionary guy. And they were partying. They partied. I talked to my I'm just gonna say an older woman. I'm not gonna say who. Because it's gonna take long. I'm gonna be like, she's a friend of a friend of a friend. Anyway, she told me that literally they were partying when he died. His name is Anastasio Somoza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then his son goes to power.
Really?
And so, basically that was for nothing. But then that son dies, and another son, also called Anastasio Somoza, to make things even more confusing. He basically got overthrown by the communist Sandinista. They're still a political party, by the way.
Really?
And then Nicaragua became communist. And so the Soviets and Uncle Fidel, started negotiating with them, and they were gonna see if it was possible to build a canal through the lakes. But there was only one problem. This canal would have caused a disruption between a lake going into Costa Rica and likely polluted it. So they told them, we don't want you to build this canal. And that really upset them because they were hoping the Soviets would be, you know, cool with that. And so that never went anywhere. And then in the 2000s, they were in talks with China because, you know, the other ally they had. Actually, believe it or not, they got friendly relations by not recognizing Taiwan anymore.
Oh,
that's how they got that. China made a deal with them. We'll become better friends with you if you stop supporting Taiwan. So anyway, so basically China looked into building a canal because there's two central lakes in Nicaragua, and the theory is if you just build the canal, it'll go right through. But of course, the problem came up this time. I think the Costa Ricans were still don't build around this lake area. I think that's another debate that came up. But I think this time it was more towards money that caused the project not to go anywhere. And also the hundreds and hundreds of jungles you're going to be cutting through. And it's like,
acres of land, right?
I don't think you can build the Panama Canal today because of the amount of people that died building it of disease So like it would definitely be.
Yeah, it would be publicized.
Also an
greatly.
environmental groups would
issue.
Be like, I think one of the main concerns too was that the lakes were going to be destroyed because those are like historical lakes. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at a map of Panama, you'll see them. They're literally right there.
Yeah.
But
and if you cut through them, like you don't know what the water is going to do. Like it could go anywhere, right?
Oh yeah. So that never went anywhere.
Oh shit. Right.
That never went anywhere, but
there you go.
We'll definitely see because they're still interested in the idea of building a canal because it would be cheaper than the one in Panama. Mm-hmm. Of course, Panama doesn't want that, but they can't do anything about it. But definitely interesting that China, of all people, want to build a canal in Nicaragua.
Yeah,
it definitely seems
they're probably gonna do what the U.S. did at first. Was like, hey, we're gonna own this now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. But Nicaragua, on the other hand, is a complete like weird place.
Yeah.
Like not culturally, but like because the guy who's in charge right now, Daniel Ortega, he was the president when they were communists, when they were Sandinista. He was the president from 79 to 92. And he's been president since 2007, keep in mind. And he's been having a lot of issues because like people don't like him anymore because the country's like declined rapidly. Mm-hmm. And like actually in Costa Rica, when I was there was a huge population of Nicaraguans because a lot of them fled from Nicaragua. And
and there's like, do they have high inflation there? That's also might be
I think so. I think the cost of living has gone up because I saw that they were having anti-Sandinista protests, but because the Sandinista party is still the dominant party there. Mm-hmm. Like they had a couple presidents and then he came back and he's like turned into a bit of a dictator. Like he said this, I think in 2019 or 2020, that he wants to give the presidency to his son. I'm pretty sure that's not how a democracy works. And people are like, it's funny. This guy fought Somoza and now he's turned exactly into him. Yeah. Like it's basically that whole quote from The Dark Knight, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It's basically that. I know. It's like shocking.
Yeah. Like when you feel the power of what you have, like now you have influence.
Yeah. And he's loved by the older generation because like they think some people think, he was more sidelined and he acted more important than he was because there were other people, but like very, famous over there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see. There's always that rumor that comes up. He hasn't been seen in 3 weeks. Is he dead? But like, then he reappears and it's like, it's like those rumors with the Queen where they're like, is she dead? Is Biden dead?
Yeah.
And like, then he reappears a couple weeks later, but we'll see where it goes. I think he's probably going to be like Putin where he doesn't let go of the power and just stays in office as long as he wants to.
Yeah. And with Nicaragua, right? Do they have a term limit or is it just any time?
I think they did, but
he doesn't care,
it. Obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like there's some countries where you have multiple people as president. Mm-hmm. Like I think Costa Rica, they've had several people that were president like 3 times.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like here where, it's 2 terms.
Mm-hmm. And but like everybody expects that and like follows it and shit.
But like when you become dictator, it's like, you don't. Although he claims he's not a dictator, but he keeps winning the elections. And it's like, you got to get to a point where you're like, are you a dictator?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like what's happening with the votes? Like if like 60% of the people are like, wait, that's not who I voted for.
I mean, from what I've seen, he doesn't seem like he's popular, but there's still that older generation that support him from like the 80s when they remember all the improvements he made to the standard of living and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. It's like very strange because it's a love and hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen like a lot of dictators like that where like they're like considered malevolent, like they know they're a dictator, but they just don't care.
I know,
like,
we haven't heard, and just by you saying dictator, I was like thinking we haven't heard from North Korea in a long time, bro. Like I remember, Kim Jong-un would be in the news like every fucking
5
week.
minutes.
Yeah, like every week. Trump would be over there. He was like meeting him.
It was so funny you mentioned that because I remember someone was like, we haven't heard from North Korea in a while. And then I saw a news article that they said, oh, don't worry, we're still testing our weapons.
Oh, shit. Damn.
I feel like they know I feel like they're almost like an attention-seeking country.
I know, yeah.
Like, you know, every time we think something's okay, you know, they're like, oh, we're going to test a missile. And
yeah. Yeah, they might have, they could have done something, I don't know, with like Russia. Like they just keep quiet from every country, basically.
Yeah, definitely the most closed.
Yeah, closed off.
Their nickname is the Hermit Kingdom.
The Hermit Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they called Korea before the 20th century. But
okay.
Yeah, they're still called that in a way because they're, you know, very closed.
Reclused. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's, I don't know how the people.
It's funny you mentioned that.
That's crazy.
Because I remember seeing a video that people in South Korea actually don't want a united Korea because they think it would be a disaster. So when
especially with the diverse, like that disparate of way of living, you know, like one area where you have to obey this person, you have to obey this government, and the other is like, you know, I don't know how South Korea runs their shit, but it seems like it's you know, a little more freedom and they could do whatever they want, you know.
Oh yeah. But I remember seeing that the main reason they don't want it is because they've studied the statistics of when West and East Germany reunited and how the problem with that was it was great and it was, you know, wonderful that these people who'd been divided for so long finally reunited. The problem was that a bunch of unskilled laborers fled to the West and the East was completely almost like left abandoned. And what they're afraid is when North and South Korea finally reunite, most of the North Koreans are going to flee to the South and it's going to be flooded with unskilled laborers and the North is going to be completely abandoned.
Yeah.
And also
people would see like, oh, this is way better over here. Why haven't I seen this before?
Yeah. And also I think like it's an economic thing because I think with East Germany, they had to pay like a certain, like they had to send money to East Germany to build up the infrastructure so that it could be, you know, up to the standards of the West. And like, you can still see the divide even to this day on like Google Maps, like of how divided it is. Like
that they're a little behind
like,
or something.
Like East Germany is still somewhat like agnostic and atheist, whereas West Germany still has a big population of Catholics and Christians. And, you know, there's also certain things like I think even in West and East Berlin, you can still see the light fixtures are, you know, a different color. Yeah. Yeah. Like the divide is still there. And it's, you know, of course, now you can make the argument they've culturally assimilated, but there's still some people who say like East Germany just kind of is still there in some form or another. Yeah. That's the problem with dividing a country. And another issue people were saying is that the Korean language has changed significantly. Like the Korean spoken in South Korea is a lot more almost westernized in a way. Like they've adopted words. Like I saw one example where they were like, oh, they refer to, you know, like juice as, you know, literally the pronunciation of juice. Yeah. Whereas like in North Korean, I think it's like the water juice or something, like, you know, it's like a weird configuration. It's like they speak more of a traditional type of North Korean. Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, of course that I don't think that would be too much of an issue. Yeah.
I think in the beginning it would, but like once you start learning, like it's
I mean, like I said, these are all predictions. We don't know how it will turn out if it ever does happen.
I don't think it will. Like, I mean, as of right now, the way that Kim Jong-un has his hand on the throat of that country, like there's no way.
I mean, you never know. It could happen, but like, I
don't think anybody wants to try. Like we mentioned nowadays with war, the anybody that tries to invade anybody else, if they have like nuclear weapons, you never want it to go to that point, right?
Yeah. Also with China being in that area, it's like they've got a grasp on North Korea too. Like it's almost like their little playground, even though, you know, they're kind of excluded out of there in some way. Like, no, it's punishable if you're caught using the Chinese yuan. Really? Like, because they want you to use their own money, even though it's basically monopoly money at this point. Yeah. Like, damn. But it's like just weird, you know, it's a weird country and I don't know where it's going to be in the next 50 years. Maybe it'll be part of Korea. Maybe they'll overthrow Kim and it'll be just, you know, they'll rename it something new. They're like, we're Pajongers or what is the capital? Pyeongchang?
Yeah,
Pyeongchang.
something like that.
They're just gonna call themselves that instead of Koreans because they're so different from Koreans at this point. It's like even if they get freedom, it's like, do they become their own country?
I know.
There's so many examples of countries like that where they should be together, but they're so different. It's like, like I think a really good example is like Germany and Austria. It's like they both speak German, but culturally they're really different.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always that argument that they should be together.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't want that because like then you're going to be supporting people like Putin who are like Ukrainians belong with Russia because they speak a similar language. I don't think anyone should ever be forced into something like that. But there are a couple countries that I really think should form together. Like there's this one in Eastern Europe called Romania, and their neighbor is called Moldova.
Yeah.
And they have a similar culture and language. The only difference is they were both colonized by different people. The Romanians were colonized by the Ottomans, and then the Moldovans were colonized by the Russians.
Yeah.
So like they have different influence. But I honestly feel like they should be together, even though they have cultural differences and all that.
Yeah.
And they're one union together. They had a union together. It didn't go that well because they had a king and he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like he literally he ran away from Romania to go live with his mistress and left his 10-year-old son to be the prince.
10 years old?
Yeah, 10 years old. And then he comes back and he's like, okay. He's like, look at me. I'll be the king now. And then the Nazis come and he puts his son in charge again.
Damn,
and unfortunately, his son was not incompetent, but his son just kind of was a pushover.
Yeah.
So they let this other guy come in. He was a monster.
Damn.
Like I think his name was Eon something. I'm really bad with names.
What country was that again?
Romania.
Damn.
Yeah. And like for years they've been wanting Moldova and Romania to join, but it's like Moldova's like, oh, we can't because Russia. Because dude, Russia's like sometimes the stuff they do is like so insane. Like I kid you not, when Moldova was getting independence, there was this part of Moldova that had ethnic Russians, and they said, we don't want to go. We want to remain part of the Soviet Union. So they went to war with Moldova. This area is called Transnistria.
I would never have
that sounded really Russian.
Yeah. Okay. I would never know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Anyway, so they had this war in Moldova, of course, lost. But now, I think like at least 1,000 Russian troops occupy that area.
Really?
And it's such an ingenious move by like Russia, because what it does is that they can't join NATO, because if they join NATO, they have the risk of Transnistria invading them. And then if they join Romania, Transnistria is going to invade them. So it's like Russia's way of keeping them closer to them. So a lot of people say that's why the union can't happen, because, if they join that union, they're screwed, because that area is going to like screw them over.
Yeah. Then the Russians get involved and
Yeah. Like that was a speculation during the Ukrainian-Russian war that troops from Transnistria were going to start heading to Ukraine. But I don't believe that's happened yet at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's a real possibility that what they're trying to do is they're going to cut off Ukraine from the coastline, and Ukraine shares a border with Moldova. And they could easily just reach there, and then and
then now they have two sides.
Yeah, they have a connection.
Yeah,
but we'll see where that goes. I don't know. There's been a lot of speculation.
That's crazy, bro. Like, Putin's a fucking madman, bro. Like, who would think like just to have the control that he has, like the power, like he seems like a really intelligent person, but you could have used that intelligence to like improve the world. Like you had to conquer territory.
Exactly.
Like you could do a lot more other shit.
I think considering him a madman is dangerous, because it's kind of like with Hitler, where people think he was a idiot. He definitely was an idiot in some parts. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm Jewish, by the way, I hate him. Like I literally do. But like in some parts, you see like a man who really thought things through, sophisticated. Like he looked at the failures of the First World War, and he's like, we're not going to be in a stalemate with France. We're going to completely go in there like full force.
Yeah. And like, I saw a documentary recently about him, and it showed his speeches, and it was like translated. Yeah. And now I understand like why this guy was that powerful. And it was his way of communicating to people that, what what happened to us in World War One, like that's not going to happen again. Like we could grow past this. Like like he was a motivational speaker, basically.
That's basically what Putin did.
You know, that brought the whole country together. And eventually when everybody was on board, you know, as many people that were on, that he brought together, they're like, okay, let's do this. We have a plan, military, this, that, technology. And then they went and did it. Like, it was crazy.
That's basically what Putin did, if you think about it, because after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia was not in a good spot. They had their next president after Gorbachev left was Boris Yeltsin. And it's a complete joke. He let the country completely descend into chaos. And, you know, Putin came in and he seemed like, oh, I'm going to fix everything. And, you know, of course, I think your average Russian would be like, yeah, he definitely did a lot of good. But, you know, definitely he almost, you know, copied Hitler in a way.
Yeah. But the power he has is, you know, pretty much infinite, because he just owns everything. Like he has a part in every business, like all the major businesses that are in Russia, like he's a part of them. He also
controls the oligarchies, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So when you have influence over every aspect, like it's hard to let go of that, right? Yeah. If when you're in that position, it's hard. Humans are just like, for some reason, greedy. Like we have that in our mind of we want more, we want more control, more power, and you had to fight that. You can't allow that part of you to control your life, right? Or else, you know, you're going to do dumb shit like invading Ukraine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it seems like he had definitely been planning this for some time now. Yeah. Like, not many people know about this, but he went to war with Georgia and he took certain parts of Georgia. And it seems like that was almost a test run because he wanted to see what the West would do. Yeah. Almost. Did
they do? I didn't even hear about that. Like I didn't.
Nothing. I guess, you know, that's one thing that really pisses me off. It's like when a country's considered valuable is when they have resources. Like, you know, all of the stuff that was going on in Ukraine, they like put down a lot of other countries. Like, it was really disgusting what happened. Like there was a news reporter that said, oh, you know, this is a westernized country. It shouldn't be happening to them. And it's like, so it should be happening to the Middle Easters? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. It's like very backwards. It's like when a country has oil, it's important. But when it doesn't have any resources, like Georgia was invaded and nobody cared. And like Ukraine is being invaded and like.
Now the whole world is on the.
I guess you could technically make the argument it's because it's closer to Europe and, you know, they don't want that spelling in. But it almost feels like there was a lot more push this time because of resources too. Yeah. Because Ukraine is rich with oil and other resources. And, you know, the West has been trying to pull them in and Russia's been trying to pull them. So it's almost like a tug of war
between the two. Yeah. Do you think at any point, like, let's probably not in recent, probably not in the next 100 years, but let's say 1,000, 10,000 years. Do you think that we'll ever get to the point where there's no country and it's just like all humanity exists?
Maybe, but that would mean one person would have to take over everybody. And
no, like it wouldn't be any person. Like it would just be like everybody exists. Like there's like,
so we're gonna go back to like Mesopotamia and Monachico and just, you know, live in huts and, you know, basically say, oh, we're humans.
Yeah, we're humans. But like, I don't know. I think it could be developed better than what it was. Like everything has changed, right? Like 10,000 years ago, there wasn't democracy. Now there's democracy, right? So like, what's the next thing? What's the evolution and how can it get better? I think it could get to that at some point, but not right now. Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, unless, you know, I honestly think it wouldn't come to that unless like nuclear war happened. And then they're like, you know what? Our people screwed us over. We're just going to be a civilization. There's no, you know, nationality. It's just humankind. There you go.
Humankind. That might happen. Like I saw a comment on one YouTube video of like competition and nationality of like some people supporting soccer teams. And he said in the future, we're probably going to have Earth versus Mars. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Everybody's going to come together.
Yeah. So that all of Earth and then the people on Mars. So that's going to be crazy.
That'd be great. It'd be the Martian War, basically. Yeah. I mean, who knows, man? It could happen.
I know.
I mean, yeah, we're humans. We always find dumb ways to go to war.
Shit, bro. Like
yeah, there's so many dumb wars I can think of right at the top of my head. Like there's the war of the emus, that famous one where they went to war with the birds.
What happened
in
with
Australia?
that?
So basically I
don't think I've heard of it, no.
In Western Australia, they basically had a bunch of open farmland. And basically after the First World War, they needed to give their farmers land in Western Australia as a compensation for fighting. And unfortunately, the emus, which are a national bird of Australia, they go to the western part of Australia to, basically find food. Yeah. And they found a bunch of crops, and these are wooden gates. They're not like today's modern large fences. So they easily get in and eat the crops. And the farmers are like, there's going to be a problem. So Australia goes to war with their national bird. And like, I'm not even kidding. What it was is they had couple guys on like machine guns shooting down a bunch of birds.
Really?
And it was really.
And they tried to kill like every single one.
Not every single one. They wanted to kill like at least like I think like a couple thousand.
Yeah.
I think they only killed about like 10,000 or something. That's not nearly enough though, because
Yeah, they just probably populate.
They
quickly.
repopulate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, what ended the war was they managed to find a new way to protect their crops.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like really dumb war.
Yeah, dumb shit, bro.
I think my favorite one has to go to the golden turkey of worst war. Has to be Ecuador versus the goats.
The goats? Yeah. What happened with that?
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard about the Galapagos Islands.
Yeah.
It's where Darwin got his theory of evolution. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was a problem there. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure who did this. Somebody thought it's an island. Want to know what would be great on an island? Goats.
Goats.
And unfortunately, goats eat
everything.
So the native population of turtles weren't able to like sustain. Yeah. And there was a real threat of extinction.
So some guy just brought goats on there.
So the Ecuadorian military and the government was like, okay, we're going to have to exterminate all the goats off the island. Yeah. I feel like it would have been just cheaper to take them, put them somewhere else maybe, but they decided to do that. So literally imagine there's an Apache or whatever helicopter they were using at the time, literally machine gunning goats, and they're just falling off of the cliff.
Damn.
Yeah. I think they killed about like 3,000 goats, but here's the crazy part about it. It worked.
It worked. Really?
The turtles were able to repopulate, and their population went from like I think like 2,000 to like over like 20,000.
Yeah.
And it was actually, it actually benefited it. But a lot of people were criticizing them. They're like, did you really have to kill the goats? Like it's so messed up. Like they literally went to war with the goats. Like the army was literally on a mass scale. Like
with helicopters, machine guns, like fucking out the window.
It's crazy. Honestly, like it's got to be one of the dumbest wars, but at the same time, ecologically, the turtles have benefited off of it. But
I know they're trying to do something similar. It's not like a war, but in Texas, there's hogs, like wild hogs that I'm pretty sure they're eating. What I think it has to do with farmland or something else. Like I forget the exact reason why they're doing it, but it's like
they're probably disrupting like crops.
Yeah, it's like what's the species where you can't get rid of it, or like I forget what it's called.
That's a lot of them, like mice, bunnies.
Yeah.
A lot of those species.
Yeah, it's like lionfish. Also, I forget the exact word. There's a word for that type of species that's brought in that wasn't supposed to be there, and now it's populated more. I forget the fucking name, but whatever.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. So now I think Texas is if you kill that hog, like you could go and Texas will pay you personally for killing those hogs.
Wow.
Right. Like, so you could grab your gun if you have a gun or whatever and just like start shooting at hogs and
good God. Yeah.
And so they want to limit that population because they just keep on producing at such a high level that it's hard to maintain like a good population of them.
That honestly brings up the famous question, man versus wild.
Yeah.
Nature is just there and it's like, we got to put up with it. It's like, you occasionally see videos of like elephants going on rampages in like Myanmar or India. And it's like, I mean, at the same time, it's like killing people, but can you really blame it? I mean, they get really upset when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, no, you can look up videos. They literally go into towns and just destroy them.
Destroy it. Damn.
Yeah. But I don't really feel like it makes sense to go after them and kill them because they're animals. Yeah. They do whatever they want. Yeah. No, there's this funny story in India where there was this elephant going into villages on purpose and destroying them. They gave him the aptly titled name Osama bin Laden, the elephant. You can look this up. This is a real Wikipedia page.
Osama bin Laden, the elephant.
They named him that. I'm not kidding. And no, they realized it was this one elephant that was like around, I think like 30 years old, who kept attacking random villages. Like he was doing it on purpose. It's not like regular elephants where they attack villages because they're in a bad mood or something.
Or they want to defend themselves or something.
This elephant was literally caught doing it on purpose. Like he would go attack a town and then go to another one right after. Like they figured he must be doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they tried hunting it down and they claimed they got him, but just like the real Osama bin Laden, we don't know.
Really, with the real one, you think it's a conspiracy?
I don't know. I didn't see no body. I'm sorry. I mean,
because the guy who apparently shot him, he sells like millions of books now. Because
I
forget his name.
I'm suspicious
he's a cool dude,
because
though.
I guarantee with a guy like Osama bin Laden, he probably had body doubles. And I don't know. I mean, I know they don't want to release the footage, but if they can release that disgrace of a footage of what happened with that school shooting, I think they can release the footage of Osama bin Laden getting shot. I don't believe that should be out of the public eye. I mean, you can find all sorts of disturbing videos from like Live Leak doesn't exist anymore, but you can find videos of killings and stuff like that. But we're not allowed to see the killing of Osama bin Laden. Like, really?
I know.
Like, that's suspicious to me.
Yeah. That they still haven't allowed the footage to come out.
And like, like then any evidence that could prove it's him, they just dispose him in the sea. I get it. Cause in Islam, you got to be buried and yada. I'm not really sure the tradition, but it's just suspicious to me that like
there's no proof.
They say they have proof and they found a bunch of files, but it could have been any other guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I want video. And like, if there's no video, it didn't happen to me. Like, you may have seen Bigfoot, but if you don't got no video,
if he's still alive, bro, that is fucking crazy, bro. Because you would have to not like change your whole appearance, like maybe like change your thumbprint, like everything that they could track you on. You had to change.
It's possible. I mean, he could have just shaved the beard, got rid of it, gotten clean, and just, moved back to Saudi Arabia, and now he's living there. I don't know. I mean, it's just a theory. Who knows? Maybe they got him, and I'm just talking shit.
Yeah.
But
who knows for
unless
sure.
I see, until the day the video comes, because I know they recorded a video, because like the Navy SEALs,
Yeah.
Or
they always
whoever
have,
it was. Yeah.
They always have record or the camera on.
Definitely a little suspicious. Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Going back to Osama bin Laden, the elephant, they don't know if they killed the right elephant because they're like, the elephant was younger or the elephant was older. So who knows? Osama bin Laden, the elephant, could be still out there in India.
Could be still.
But
how long do elephants live for, though?
I think they can live up to like 50 to 70 years or something like that. Damn. They live pretty long.
They live that's reasonable.
Like, you always see sometimes on Instagram, those people who pose with an elephant, they took a photo of the elephant when they were a kid and, then the elephant's still alive,
Oh yeah. They get like reunited or whatever.
Quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, elephants and turtles are my favorite animals. I love them.
Turtles live for quite a while too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The sea turtles are like, I don't even know if this is correct. Maybe it's like 100 years, right? For sea turtles.
I think they can live up to 200.
200, something like that.
I remember there's this one turtle who lives in Britain, and he's like over like 250 years old.
250? Damn.
Yeah, he's pretty old.
God damn.
I'll have to look him up.
Imagine if humans could live that long. Like, what do you think? Would you think it would benefit? Would you think it would benefit humanity or to live longer or not?
I'm sort of biased, but I personally think it would be a disaster. Because if you live to be 250, you're going to see your children, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, and even more people die in front of you. Like, can you imagine how many times you'd have to remarry? Like, seriously. I mean,
what if everybody was like what if the natural age for everybody to get was like around 150? Like, most people would live to 150.
Yeah, that'd still be pretty exacerbating.
Yeah.
I mean, there are families where they have been extended over the period of time. Like, James Taylor, who was president of the United States, he was born in 1791. He still has a grandson alive.
Really?
His grandson was born in 1928.
Damn.
Yeah. What it is
grandson,
that...
So that's not even
what it is that he...
much of a generation gap.
Yeah. What it is that he married, like, he was an old man and he married a young woman. And then she gave birth to his son, like, in the 1850s. Yeah. And then he married a younger... Like, he had kids already, but, like, he married a younger woman and then they had one more kid.
Damn.
And that was, Yeah.
Yeah.
So he basically had a son when he was in his 70s. Just keep that in mind. And then basically his son did the same thing. He had multiple kids. And then in the 20s, he remarried again. And then he gave birth to a son, 2 sons, and they're still alive. Yeah. So this family's been extended for a long period of time. It's really messed up if you think about it.
Just because they married late, like, again, late,
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do that.
Yeah, anybody could do that.
I mean, I
don't know if it was strategic. Like, they're like planning, okay, this guy has to be here in the 2000s.
It's pretty incredible because that guy can tell people, hey, my grandfather, he was born in 1791.
And was the president.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could say.
It's kind of insane. It really shows you how generations can really be spread out. Yeah. Like, you if you really put your head into it, you can really think, 100 years ago, like, was only like 2 generations or 3 generations ago.
Yeah, like 2 lifetimes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really it really shows you like how small everything really is in the grand scheme of things,
and how much it's developed and changed. Like, for 100 years ago to 1920s to right now 2022 is such a broad difference in how humans are, like how we communicate, how things are, not just technology, but like our values, what we care about. It's so drastic and different.
I mean, that family literally went through like significant change of the American landscape. And I like to say like, those are like one of those families where they're along for the ride, like my family is definitely one of those, we just kind of go with the flow, if you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, I ended up here in the States and I'm here.
Yeah. And then you were saying you wanted to apply for citizenship for Costa Rica too, right? So
I really want to become a Costa Rican citizen. Not that anything bad's going to happen here, but I just want to back up just in case.
Costa Rica is probably one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Bro. Oh yeah. I friggin' love it. I've been there 3 times. I went there when I was 3. Then the second time was when I was 9. And then recently in 2019, I went. Yeah. And that was before the pandemic. Oh my God. I wish I had known. I would have just stayed there. Yeah.
I know, it's paradise, bro. It's like, they keep, I'm glad they keep all the rainforest and stuff. It's like protected, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. Basically areas that, are marked off.
Yeah. It should be that way. And because if you keep on developing land, developing like housing and shit like that, you ruin the beauty of the landscape, and you can't reproduce that. You can't.
And then compared to corruption on the other Latin American states, it's definitely not as bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, like
every country, bro, is corrupt. Even the U.S. is corrupt. Dude, every country is corrupt.
Oh yeah, the president would like to know your location.
FBI's outside right now.
FBI should be knocking down this door any minute. Yeah. But going back to that, Costa Rica is really unique in the fact that we have no army.
Really?
Yeah, Panama
it's like
also
Switzerland,
doesn't have an
right?
Army. Yeah.
Switzerland's crazy too.
So it's this crazy story, I guess I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Because drive up the suspense.
Yeah.
So in 48, we elected this guy named Raul, and he was a very weird guy. He's a weird last name. I'm not gonna say it. It's Polish.
Okay.
He's got a Polish last name. Polish Costa Rican.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically he there's this whole debate whether or not he affected the election of that year. Cause like there was a strong chance the other guy was going to win and he won.
Yeah.
And he's like, I won. And basically nobody's content with that. So a bunch of the peasants and the farmers and all that basically start a rebellion. And then he basically puts the military to suppress this. And that's how the Costa Rican Civil War started.
Damn.
And to make matters worse, he had communist support from the Costa Rican Communist Party. So not looking great already. The U.S. is like, they've got full eyeballs on.
Yeah, I know.
And they're like just paying attention, seeing what's going on. As if there wasn't enough going on. Remember the guy I told you, Anastasio Somoza?
Oh, yeah.
There's a history of Nicaragua trying to invade Costa Rica. It's just like a common occurrence. I don't know why. It just happens. He thought now is a good time to invade northern Costa Rica during a civil war. Civil war.
It's like, even in the midst of this disaster, I'll just swoop in, grab everything.
It's embarrassing. I mean, he was supporting Raul, but it was kind of weird. Anyway, obviously, I don't know how Raul thought he was going to win. He's teaming up with Costa Rica's like historical enemy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. Anyway, the U.S. basically told Somoza, get out of the country now. He had to turn around because mom told him to go home. Like literally, because there's this famous quote from Roosevelt saying, Somoza's a bitch, but he's our bitch.
Damn, bro.
So,
that's savage.
Can you imagine? He made it pretty far. He got into the northern provinces and he could have kept going. And I think he would have made it to San Jose, but
bro, he really said that though?
Yeah. Like the US told him like, literally go home. Like, what are you doing here? This literally has nothing to do with you and turn around. And like, can you imagine just like the humiliation of having to go through each town and be like, just passing through.
Yeah, just going back.
Anyway, so basically, they supported this guy named Jose Figueroa. We call him Pepe.
Yeah.
Anyway. So basically they supported this guy and it's really unique because he was a socialist. He was not a communist or anything. And it's rare because the US is scared of socialism, but I guess any guy who isn't supporting by the communists is better.
Yeah.
So this guy basically helps liberate Costa Rica and Raul is overthrown and he flees to Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically he sets up a military junta. Figueroa's, and then basically he decides we're going to abolish the military because it's too much power. And he saw what was happening in other Latin American countries where
they would try to invade and shit.
Yeah, well, this is a really messed up story, but Central America has a lot of bananas and fruit. And you want to know who likes fruit? The United Fruit Companies. So what they would do is they would talk to the military officials and be like, hey, so-and-so is thinking about kicking us out. You know, slips a $50 bill in their pocket and they're like, you wouldn't mind if maybe he went away and you come to power?
Yeah.
And there's so many instances of that happening in El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, especially Nicaragua. And basically he didn't want to put up with that where the military wasn't going to be trustworthy. Yeah. So he completely abolished it. And so 1948 is remembered as the abolishment of the military. Of course, there were some critics about this and Nicaragua again invaded in 1950 in the 1950s.
When they had no military whatsoever.
Yeah. So they had to send the police to handle the situation. Of course, nobody died, but I mean, damn, they like really wanted to invade us for some reason. And then, the most recent invasion, believe it or not, was back in 2010.
Really?
There was this whole drama where, so as you know, the Spanish conquered Latin America, but unfortunately the borders were really vague at the time. So you know, it's all part of the same country. Who cares? Yeah. But after independence, there was a bunch of series of wars about where the line should go. Like people were literally dying for lines on a map.
Christ.
So
and like and you look at the whole earth and you realize there's no fucking lines.
Like the border between Canada and the US, like it's not a straight line. It loops. It loops. Anyway, so the Nicaraguan army, thinking they're in Nicaraguan territory, walk over the Costa Rican border. Costa Rica's flipping out. They see 1,000 army guys heading into there. Everybody's flipping out. They sent 90 police officers to go see what was going on. I don't know how they thought that was going to do anything.
Yeah.
It turns out, I shit you not, Google Maps showed so Google Maps is a little controversial because whatever disputed country you're in, like if you're in India, they show Kashmir as part of being India. But if you're in Pakistan, they show Kashmir as proper being part of Pakistan. You know, like they submit to the country they're in so they don't get in trouble. You know, because they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want China being like, why are you showing Kashmir as part of this country? It should be a part of our country. Yeah. You know. Anyway, so it turns out Nicaragua's disputed territory was shown on their map, and then Costa Rica thought the disputed territory was being shown on their map, so it's theirs. Yeah. So Nicaragua was literally relying on
Google Maps to do.
They were relying on Google Maps to know where their territory is, and as a result, they accidentally invaded another country.
I know, like you can't rely on some third-party company that's like a search engine to do your shit.
So they go to the International Supreme Court or whatever about it, and unfortunately, to Nicaragua's horror, Costa Rica won the debate. I think they won because there was mostly Costa Ricans living there. Yeah. And I guess they had been using the territory more. So yeah, we got good relations with them, but I don't think they were really happy about losing a bit of land. Yeah. Even though the piece of land, like I'm sure like it's like probably the size of this office building. Really? It's never a good feeling to lose something to your, next door neighbor. Yeah. But yeah.
But I don't think any good has come from another country trying to gain territory. Like nothing good has ever come from that. And even though like this country that we're in has done that and invaded people and shit, like I think it's much better resolved through clear communication.
Yeah, diplomatic.
Yeah, like if you could make some type of agreement with that country or with this person, and then you could both have some good come out of it instead of you taking over everything and then they're left with nothing. Like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, sadly that rarely happens. Yeah. Like
maybe it'll change.
Yeah. Like there's a couple countries like that where that's happened, where like East Timor, it was colonized by the Portuguese. It got independence in 1975, and then Indonesia's like, come and join us. They invaded and then they took over. And the UN, interestingly enough, they told them you got to give them independence within around 2002. They're like, you got to give them independence because they like committed a lot of war crimes there. Yeah. Because like these people didn't want to submit to Indonesian rule. Anyway, so like the good neighbors they are in Asia, Australia and Indonesia forced the East Timorans to sign a deal where they would hand over the oil.
Damn.
And like, yeah. So welcome to the country hood. You got barely anything. So yeah, it's like rarely anyone gains new territory or becomes a country.
Especially if there's one country with a lot of power and one country with low power.
It's like, they don't want to lose that stranglehold. And you can still make the argument East Timor is still an Indonesian puppet. Because I mean, they even use their money. So their monetary system is controlled by Indonesia.
That's fucked.
But yeah, it rarely does it ever work out.
And speaking of the other countries with no military, I talked about, I said Switzerland, and I don't know if you've heard about how they do things.
I'm pretty sure Switzerland has an army.
I think they do.
Yeah, because I remember I remember watching a video where
I'm pretty sure they don't, because, or no. They never want to go to war with anybody. That's what I heard. Or like they're neutral.
Yeah, they're neutral. Permanently neutral. Yeah.
Either it was no military or neutral. I'm pretty sure now that you're mentioning it's probably neutral, and that anytime they're invaded, they bomb every bridge that goes into the country.
Yeah, it's actually insane how neutral they are. Like there's literally stories of, because Switzerland is close to Germany and Austria. There's literally stories of Allied bombers accidentally thinking it was Germany and hitting Swiss towns. So people don't know this, but Switzerland and the US had a little bit of a war where basically they would purposely shoot down Allied planes.
Damn.
Like it was pretty bad. I think they had to compensate the Swiss. That's why people are always like, why did the Swiss get money after the World War II? Well, that's probably why they bombed a bunch of their cities by accident.
Yeah.
Because
you can't tell, like on the Earth does not show. Yeah.
Well, you can look at a map, but it's like when you're over something.
Yeah, it's thousands of miles.
It was funny because there was this town in Bavaria where they hung up the Swiss flag and pretended to be Switzerland so they wouldn't be bombed.
That's actually smart. Yeah.
But
Swiss is so neutral, bro. Like they do not want any beef with any country.
The last war they fought in, believe it or not, was in 1815. Napoleon.
Oh, yeah.
Napoleon was the last guy they fought. And then they proclaimed neutrality once again.
Yeah. And what makes it work for them is the region, a very mountainous region of the Alps. And that protects them.
Switzerland is normally chill, but believe it or not, after Napoleon invaded them, they wanted to carve up a little bit of France.
Really?
Like, you pissed off Switzerland when they want to annex land. Like, just saying. That almost happened too, where they were going to carve up France. Like, you know what they did with Germany after World War I and II, where they carved up certain pieces of it?
Yeah.
They were going to do that too, but they were afraid. It's weird they didn't do this during the First World War. They were afraid that if you divide it up too much, that's going to cause another guy to rise up and want to make France great again.
Yeah.
So they just took away the stuff they stole and kept it.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart on there. And of course, like that was recently you saw some guy do that. You don't want to make the same mistake.
I'm honestly surprised they carved up Germany after the Second World War. I mean, sure, they invaded Poland and they did a lot of nasty things, but wouldn't that encourage another war? Kind of going against their own logic. I mean, they didn't have to pay any war reparations like the first one, but still, dividing up territory it's a little risky because, you can cause another guy to rise up and say, let's unite everyone together.
And now, Germany, they're doing well. Like they're not any lesser because of those wars or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's actually amazing how much they've recovered.
Yeah, they've recovered pretty well. I'm about to
tell you something that's going to blow your mind, actually. So the debt they got on from the First World War, they had to pay it back. I was looking this up recently. They didn't pay their debt until 2015.
2015, really?
Yeah, it took them a while. Yeah.
How much was it?
I have no clue. I think it was somewhere in the billions. Of course, I don't know if they were accounting for inflation, but they had to do several.
2015.
I don't think it took them that long to pay for it. I think what it was is that West Germany couldn't pay for it because it wasn't Germany proper.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they united that they had to start paying back that whole loans and stuff.
Yeah.
But 2015, 100 years after they needed to pay it. Yeah, believe it or not, that actually is a common occurrence where they finally pay off something after so long.
But governments are weird in that they could have outstanding debt and they could just move on with their business.
Yeah.
Like the U.S. is in $17 trillion debt, and
there's only ever been one president who got rid of the national debt. He's the man on the $20 bill, the myth, the legend, Andrew Jackson. He was the only one out of all the presidents we've had who got rid of the national debt. And you want to know what his successor did? Got us back in the debt.
Got us back, yeah.
It's amazing. He actually did it. The boy did it. He got rid of the debt. And then we got more debt.
Yeah.
I want to see a president who can actually do that again.
Dude, if they could get down $17 trillion, that would be the greatest accomplishment of all mankind. That would be insane.
I'm a bit of a coin collector. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. I love collecting currency from around the world, and
Yeah.
So I watched this video because I'm a coin guy. Obama tried to solve the debt crisis back in 2013.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy what they were going to do. So they wanted to borrow more money. Of course, they were $13 trillion in debt at that time, not 17 yet. So they didn't want to raise it any higher. So guess what they did? They minted $1 trillion coin.
$1 trillion coin?
It was this one coin that was $1 trillion. Damn. And basically, it was going to get rid of some of the debt. So it would go down to 12 trillion. So that way, they would be able to buy more things and take out a few more loans. So
yeah, but that's the thing that increases the debt.
I know. So they were hoping to get rid of some of the debt by minting it in a coin. Unfortunately, this never fell through. But it's such a weird idea. It reminds me of just printing more money to fix a problem.
I know.
It's like
that doesn't solve it. Bro.
Someone was in the White House or the Senate or something thought, let's just get rid of our debt with a coin and thought that was going to work.
Like, why not 12 trillion? Why not have a 12 trillion?
But I wish they had made it, because then, I'll pull a Nicolas Cage, in that movie he did. What's it called? A National Treasure, I think it is.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Instead of stealing the Declaration of Independence, I'm going to steal the $1 trillion debt coin. Like, I wish it had existed so I could steal it.
I know, that would be a valuable
I'll just
thing,
say,
bro.
look, I'm holding the national debt in my hands. Yeah. But honestly,
oh my God,
the ways people will get rid of their debts is incredible.
Yeah, that is.
Especially governments.
Yeah, governments, I think the only reason they could get away with their, like, they don't care as much is because a business, when you have debt with a business, you have to show profit, and you have to have money incoming in order to stay in business. But with the government, they don't have to show that they're like profiting or anything. They could just like print money. They just, all the operations just go without any hesitation, without any kind of repercussions based on the decisions that people make. Like, it just goes on, and people just think that there's an infinite supply of money, and that's what it seems like. Like, it just seems like it's infinite.
It's kind of unfortunate though. Like, now we're suffering from the effects of inflation. Yeah. But it's kind of, it's a little scary, to be honest, that like your government, like Mr. President Biden could wake up any moment and say, okay, no more dollar. And life savings, generations could be wiped out simultaneously.
I don't think Biden has that authority, but
no, he doesn't. But I mean, if he wanted to become a dictator, he could do that. But it's honestly a little chaotic. I mean, it doesn't.
There's that one Rick and Morty episode. Are you into Rick and Morty?
No.
No. Okay. But like, there was this one episode where they were trying to overthrow like this alien government, right? And Morty was talking to Rick, and he was like, what should we do? Should we kill all the people? Should we what else was it? Should we kill people, or should we conquer this land? What should we do or should we take over the government? And he said, all right, this is how we're gonna take over the world. There's like this computer screen, and it showed like the currency equals $1. Like, it showed like a $1. That's what the currency equals. And he's like, 0. And everything like collapsed, because like the guy was like, oh wait, he was talking to like the alien president. He was like, sir, the currency just collapsed to 0. And he's like, wait, why am I reading you this? I'm not getting paid for this. Because like the entire currency is nothing. Like, it's worthless for the whole world. And so he's like, oh wait, I don't know how to say this. Like, oh, and all the security is like, oh wait, I don't know how to protect you anymore because I'm not getting paid for this. Oh my! So yeah, it would collapse, bro. Like, if the entire world would be in a fucking an apocalypse state because of money being valued at nothing.
That's why we should switch to gold.
Gold. Yeah. But even gold, like, why is it a commodity? Is because it's human beings value it because it's limited.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the universe being infinite. We know that there's infinite amount of gold. If the universe is infinite, there's definitely infinite
if we melted down every single piece of gold, I think we could make a room the size.
Yeah.
We could
I'm pretty sure there's a block. There has to be like a planet that's made of gold. Like, there has to be a variation. If everything exists, right? Like, if every kind of variation exists of chemicals, like gold is just a mixture of chemicals, right? Or of elements. And what if that there's this one part of space where a whole planet was just made of gold?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's possible.
It's possible.
I mean, if Neptune can exist, it's completely ice and water from what we know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than likely. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere that exists too. Like, so everything is infinite in the grand scheme of things. It's just that we can't reach it. We don't know where the fuck it is, but it's there.
Imagine if it's just sitting in front of our eyes, like Mercury, the planet no one cares about.
Like just under it. Like,
just
1
inch.
There's
a cash load of gold. It's like, I bet
now every country wants to go there.
Oh no. Think about all the princes that would be moving there. Just be like, all right, my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
But that will make gold be worthless, right? Yeah. Like, because now there's supply of it.
I mean, there was only one time in history gold became deflated, like barely anything. Yeah, it was the richest man in the world in Africa, really? From the Kingdom of Mali, Mansa Musa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What it was is he made the pilgrimage to Mecca, and unfortunately, he decided to buy everything with gold. I think he's said to be the richest man who ever lived.
Yeah.
Like, he's richer than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined.
Yeah. Like, but people say like they're not the richest people. No, there's definitely other people that are private.
If you want to put it into perspective, like most Roman senators who lived 2,000 years ago, they're richer than Bill Gates, because Bill Gates' money is determined by, like
stock
value and like amount of like paper. But like these guys, they actually had precious metals like gold and silver. So like you could argue that they made more money than, modern day people. Yeah. So like Mansa Musa, for example, he made most of his money off of salt. We don't know how much he had, but like he literally had slaves carrying bags of just gold dust.
Damn.
So this guy was probably the richest man who ever lived.
Gold dust.
Yeah, literally. Like he had his slaves carrying gold bars, literally buckets of gold dust. Like, this guy was ready to make the pilgrimage to Mecca. Yeah. But unfortunately, he was, generously donating. Like, let's say I see you on the street and I give you a piece of gold and I'm like, here's a piece of gold, take it.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously you're going to start trying to spend it and get more money out of it. So as a result, he noticed that the economy suffered, like Alexandria in Egypt. Like the economy completely crashed because everybody had gold, and now it wasn't worth anything anymore, because if everyone has it, it's not worth anything. So for 10 years, gold was barely worth anything.
Damn.
And it only came back up,
because now it shifted in people's hands.
I'm not sure how it came back up into value. I think maybe they melted it down and came into jewelry, and then it became rare again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened to Mansa Musa's gold after he died. I know that he tried fixing the economy issue by taking interest in loans, but damage was done.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, dude, having that much gold, like that's a physical thing that you have to keep guard. But like, I don't know how he managed to have all the people like trust him. Like some guy could have just stole that shit like with the bag. They're carrying the bag. It's
he's
like,
a generous guy. I mean, I'm pretty sure it says in Islam you have to like give to the poor. Yeah. So I mean, he was a generous guy, obviously. Generous. Although, I mean, let's just ignore the fact he had slaves. Yeah. I guess the billionaires haven't changed since the times of Mansa Musa.
Thousands of years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call Amazon workers, slaves, but definitely I think Bezos should be paying them a little more than what they're making. They work their asses off. I mean, I know it's a business, but still.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing I learned is you don't get based on time. You get paid based on value to the to this thing we call the marketplace.
Yeah.
And if your job is whatever you do is valuable to the thing we call marketplace, you could work at McDonald's and get paid, $10 an hour, $15 an hour. But if, anybody could do that, like you could train any high school kid to go and do the same thing. So that means that it's not valuable. If a lot of people can do it, the supply is there, then it's not valuable. And then, same, just like money, like just like gold, if there's a supply, it's not valuable. And then if, let's say you're, you're the only person that knows how to fix like a certain type of computer. You're the only person in the world that knows how to do that. That's valuable, because what if there's a company that has tens, or like thousands of those computers that need fixing? You're the only person. Yeah. Now you're valuable to the marketplace because you provide a service, and they'll pay you whatever you want.
Yeah. Right? That was basically, that happened in the Middle Ages. That was basically the birth of capitalism in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it has its pros and its cons, but it's definitely a weird place where you can like do anything you want.
Yeah.
Unless, you got the funds to do it.
Yeah. The freedom is there, which is good. Like it's great that America is like a country where you can, like, it's a possibility for you to start with nothing and build something. Like you could start with not much. You could start with no skills. You could start with not a lot of money, but you could grow to some like billions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, whatever you want. You could, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's not like a guarantee.
That's the key
possible.
word. Could.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody does it because it takes a special person to develop yourself. Like you don't get the value you bring is not in time, right? Like everybody has a certain amount of time. Like I said, it's in your skills. If you have the skills, if you have the knowledge, the know-how, and you could show that to the marketplace, you'll get there.
Yeah.
And
although one of the cons about a society like this is it benefits off people not making it. You know what I mean? So like, you know, for every failure, one guy succeeds out of that, you know?
Yeah.
That's the one drawback.
But that's with anything in life. Like the universe is designed that way. And like, why is there light and darkness? Like anytime there's light, there's always darkness.
Oh yeah.
But like who made that up? Like, I don't know who the fuck made that. Like that exists. And you know, the sun goes up and then it goes down. I don't know who created that. Why does that happen? Right? Like we don't question these things. It's just the way it is. You know, if you want the answer to that, you got to talk to somebody other than me. Like, I don't know that answer. Like,
yeah, I'll talk to my lawyer. We'll see. We'll see.
Like, why does the sun go up and go down? Like, you haven't been around enough to see that it always does that, and it always has been doing that since the Earth was here.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like since like Mesopotamia.
There's always a cycle in life. Like, and you know, there's certain laws that I don't think that are just a part of the universe, and one of them is the yin and yang of everything, in my opinion. And that's like the light and darkness and the positive and negative energy, like all of that is evident in the entire universe. It's just always like that. There's an opposite to everything, so that it balances. There's a complete balance to everything. And the people that want, like, let's say everybody should be a millionaire, right? Like everybody should have that.
Oh yeah. Right? I don't think that could happen.
Like
that'd be a disaster.
You know, it would just be that would be the new standard, right? Like, and then there would be people that are billionaires now, and now that's the accomplishment. Now everybody that's a millionaire now wants to be a billionaire.
It'd be crazy if we lived in a society where millionaires, there was so many of them that now they're considered the poor people. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Yeah. Right? And then trillionaires are now, they're the rich people.
I mean, you look back 100 years ago, like people were buying shit with like 50 cents, 25 cents. Like you could buy stuff with that. And now, you know, you could, or a living wage was like $50 a week. Like that was a good wage to have. Right. And now people make that in 1 hour.
The good old days when 50 cents could buy you a meal.
Yeah. All right. So like it all changes. It all adapts. Like the one thing I learned is that it's not the world that needs to change. It's you. It's not the government that needs to fucking change its ways, and the president needs to change. And, you know, you have no control over that. Like, what are you going to do? Yell and scream your whole life, vote every election. Maybe they do something, maybe they don't. But it's completely out of your control on what other people do, right? Like it's completely out of your control to change other people. So what you can change, if you can't change the weather, you can't change the government, you can't change where you are in the universe, right? Like you can't change all that. Then what can you change? You could change yourself.
True. It's pretty deep, man.
Yeah.
Really deep.
So that's my main focus. And I'm glad I learned that early, because people spend way too much time thinking about other people's opinions, how things are going to change outside of them.
It's probably one of the things dragging down society today.
And
people only care about what others think about them.
Others think, yeah. And that's crazy to think about, because when let's say you take a group picture, right? And who's the first person you look at in the group picture?
Obviously
yourself, right? Yeah. You pick out yourself, you look at yourself. And, you know, that shows that you care more about yourself than others, right? You'd rather you view yourself as a worthy individual, like in a group of people, right?
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to opinions, why do you then value other people's opinions more than your own? And that's where a lot of people have to question why that is, because you can build it up to that. Now you value yours, but it's work. Like, just because somebody says, oh, you know, what you're wearing, it's not, it sucks. What is that? Fuck that. You know, like now somebody says that to you. Now you're like, wait, what? Now you value their opinion, but their opinion is worthless until you give value to it. If you value their opinion, then it becomes, now you seem attacked and now you feel bad about yourself, but it's only because you put energy on their opinion. And, it's a fucked up way of thinking, which a lot of people need to work on that. And it's not given. Like, a lot of things in this world are normalized, and therefore that creates a normal set of results, right? Like, most people do certain things, like allow other people's opinions to control them, and therefore that's the normal thing to do. Now, with those results, you're gonna get become an average person, right? Like an average individual in humanity, right? If you think that way. But let's say you want to be extraordinary. You want to be a different human being compared to everybody else, right? Now you start doing things that other people don't do. You start believing in yourself more than other people's opinions. You start giving back more than other people. You start gaining more knowledge more than anybody else. You start gaining skills more than anybody else. Now the results show that. Now you're successful in whatever way you want. Now you got good relationships. Now you got this. Now your happiness is up here, and now you've like separated yourself from humanity, and anybody could do that. That's what I try to say. If you believe in yourself,
you can get there.
Yeah, that's what I try to say, is that anybody has the potential to change themselves, to become whatever it is they want. Like, all it is, the only prerequisite to success is a want to do it. That's it. It's a wanting, to a desire to go out and get it. That's it. That's the only thing that you need, is a want. And a lot of people have wants. It's just that now you have to go and not change anything else outside of you, but change yourself. How can I become the person that is worthy of this? Right? Like I said, the skills, the value, the knowledge, work on those things and you'll see everything else change. And that's the biggest lesson I try to share with people, is a change in you changes your entire fucking world. Like, it's insane. Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. And fuck, that was deep.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. Like, I study this a lot because I know how much it would mean to people. Like, I get DMs all the time because I talk about this on almost every episode, because I want to share with people that, what if they, like, some kid in Indonesia watches this video and nobody has ever said anything like this to them. Like, nobody has ever put it in this way, and they hear this, and now forever their life is changed because their perspective changed. Like, that would mean the world to me, you know?
Yeah. You would move the heavens for them.
Yeah. Like, their whole, and it doesn't have to be that they had to believe exactly what I believe. Like, I don't ask for belief. I ask for you to ponder. I ask for you to think about ideas, think about why humanity is at a certain place, and think that you could change that, not by changing other people, not by changing all of humanity. You don't have to go door by door and say, hey, change how you're living your life. Hey, spend money here.
Well,
do this.
I mean, you could do that if you were part of a religious organization.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. That's true. But I think it's much better, and you'll feel a lot more fulfilled if you start with yourself. You start with your mind. And because I think once you change a part of you, or all of you, then the outside world automatically shifts. Like, you start being, let's say you were pessimistic before, and you had a certain group of friends that were also pessimistic, but you change and you become a little more optimistic. You become more positive about life, and eventually your friends now change because you don't want to hang out with negative friends anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so now the outside world changed because you changed. Now you got new friends. Now you got new results. Now you got new things that are going on in your life. And that's a fucking crazy thing to happen. And I think more and more people are understanding that. And I get comments all the time like, thank you for fucking sharing this, because it definitely should be said more. Like these ideas should be said more.
There's definitely a lot of negativity in this society.
Yeah.
And there should be a lot more, like encouragement about being able to do whatever you want, and, don't let anybody get in the way of that. Like,
Yeah. And like I said in the car on the way up driving here, we're all going to die anyways.
Yeah.
Like
life's short, and you got to live it to the fullest.
Yeah. We're all going to die. And
like you said, you don't want to be in your bed at 100-year-olds as a 100-year-old man saying, I never did anything.
Yeah.
I never did anything in my life.
That's like I saw a YouTube video of just like people interviewing what is it, the senior living homes and shit. Yeah. And the people are like the first words out of their mouth are like, I wish I did this.
No, yeah.
Like I wish this happened. Like I wish I knew that. Looking back now, I realized that I had the time. Like I could have done it. Like I could have tried. I could have did this, and they never did it. And now they don't have the chance to do it because their life is gonna be over. Right.
Oh yeah, that's pretty deep. Not gonna lie. This is kind of a funny one and also sad.
Yeah.
I saw this way back in high school. This guy's probably dead now. There was this guy who was a vegan. He decided he was gonna stop eating meat, and he lived to be 99. Mm-hmm. And he said he regretted it. He said even though he had achieved his goal, he reached 99. He said now he can't eat meat anymore because he has dentures, and his biggest regret was giving it up.
Yeah,
that's gotta suck. Like
I know
he made it to 99, but he can't eat meat anymore. Yeah, it's like it's that Thanos meme. Did you reach 99? Yes. At what cost? Yeah. Everything.
Everything.
It's insane.
I know, dude. We should look at it from that place. Like, even if you're 20 years old, even if you're 15 years old, like, just look at the end, because that'll make you realize how important now is. Like, if you don't put it in that perspective, then you'll always think like, oh, I'll have tomorrow to do shit.
Oh yeah.
Next year, next 10 years.
Yeah. You don't want to be that guy who wanes on the past and thinks of the alternate dimensions or whatever. There's always that one guy who's like, they're in the shower and they're thinking how an argument could have gone.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I know most people put so much effort on their past rather than their future.
Oh yeah.
They put all their effort on what had happened, on this thing, on, whatever circumstance or relationship.
That's honestly no way to live.
Yeah.
It's like if you're dwelling on the past, you're going to be stuck on it forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not healthy, honestly, either.
Mm-hmm. And what happens is like, that's what's going to continue to create in your life. Like if you're continuing to put energy onto the past, like you're going to get much of the same shit coming in. Like you're going to continue to have those problems. You're going to continue to have that whatever it is holding you back happen to you. And until you see something different, like you have to be able to see something different. And what helps me is like being able to like dream, basically. Like you have to have, I think you should allow yourself, and I say allow yourself because for some reason humans have been programmed to think that they cannot do certain things, right? Like anything different that is not around you. Nobody in your family has started a business. You can't do that. Nobody in your family or friend group has become an actor. You can't do that. Like anything that is not in your current reality, you can't do. And it stops a lot of people, man.
That definitely brings up an interesting topic I've been running into, where like people feel like the older generation have like put them down in a way where they're screwed. You know what I mean? It's like you almost live with the shadow of your former, father.
If you decide that that's going to hold you back, right?
I mean, some people feel that way. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm so different from my grandfather and my father. I mean, I see personality traits like all of us were energetic and, all that. But other than that, I think I'm exempt from that. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, I definitely carry my father's like, personality wise and
a little bit more,
a little bit. And I feel like definitely, I have to, I'm going to learn from what has happened to him.
Yeah.
So like I can avoid, doing those same things. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, this is minimal, but I come from a long generation of smokers.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably the first in my generation who doesn't smoke anything. Mm-hmm. But I'm so young that it could happen later down the line.
Yeah.
I don't want to pump my lungs full of poison and stuff. Mm-hmm. And,
but you saw that, okay, this has happened and it's a negative thing that's happening and it could stop with me. Like I could be the first.
Like I'm going to be the first generation and God knows how many generations to kill it. Yeah. Cause I mean, it's been a family thing and I'm sure it's caused tons of health issues. I mean, thank God my dad's still kicking it, but I can't imagine if he quits now, it's going to do any benefit.
Yeah.
But it's like,
after like 30, 40 years.
50, I think.
50.
Yeah. He started pretty young.
I know smoking is, especially like cigarettes, bro, like that's a tough thing to quit, especially that long. And and the chemicals they put in there are terrible for you. And they're super addictive.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember
hard to get off.
talked to one of my sister's friends about why cigarettes are addicting. And it's curious to hear them talk about it. Like I was talking to the person and she was so addicted to them. She's like, talking about it makes me want to smoke. Really? They're like, I don't know. I just love it. It feels cool. I put it in my mouth, like flick the lighter or the switch. And it's like, I'm like the detail they put into it. It's like they're attracted to the flame. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I just asked you a question. It's like, you didn't have to give me
They want to smoke so bad.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a strange addiction. I mean, I like another addiction. I never really, another one that, I kind of.
Let me go check this real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Another addiction I just never really understood was alcoholism. I don't know. It's just, doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like literally poison.
You're poisoning your body and just drinking. It's like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this because, it was in a country, but I had my first beer in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And I had 3 beers. That was it. Mm-hmm. Like, it was great and all, but I didn't really find myself enjoying it. Yeah. It was just kind of, ooh, it's a sparkly drink. Or, ooh, it tastes interesting.
Yeah.
This is a funny story, but I had the famous beer there. It's called Imperio.
Oh, I think I've had it.
It was founded by German brothers in Costa Rica. The nickname the locals call it is cow piss.
Cow piss.
I didn't know this. I tasted it.
It was terrible.
Oh my God, I wanted to die. Listen, if you go to Costa Rica again, drink Bohemian. Bohemian is the beer to go.
Okay.
All right. That is the best beer I've had.
Yeah.
Although I have had beer in Mexico because, I like to go where it's legal.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm a goody two shoes. I don't break no laws. I haven't touched a single container yet, even though the temptation has been there and I've been to a lot of parties. It's like,
I mean, you're going to turn 21 soon, so then that'll be legal.
I just feel like I don't get an enjoyment out of drinking.
Yeah.
The only substance that I think I honestly like that's like a liquid is wine. I feel like I'm going to be a wine guy.
Yeah.
My dad's a wine guy and my mother are too, I love the taste of it. It's
I think Spanish people in general, right? Like they love their wine.
Hey,
it's one of the biggest exporters of wine, I'm pretty sure.
Although
Spain.
I have a friend who lives in Montreal and she claims the French make the best wine, but no, it's BS.
Spain,
it's
bro.
Italy and Spain, baby. Italy and Spain. Italy and Spain.
It's the best region, like the weather there and everything.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
It's Mediterranean climate. So, yeah,
that's the best place to do it.
Although I've never had French wine, and maybe one day, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see soon.
Do you have any friends international?
What'd you say? Friends?
Do you have any friends who like live out of the country or
out of the country? Yeah, I have, I think one in London, and I have family around the world mostly.
Yeah, me too.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, of course, India, let's see, Fiji, UK, like a lot of places, Canada, right? Like just a random place. Like maybe I don't even, we're not like completely related, but just like You know, we know these people. Like,
oh yeah,
my parents like, yeah, we grew up together or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Same thing with me. Like I met this guy named Chris on Instagram. Never met him in person, but he lives in Costa Rica, and he's practically family at this point because it's like he keeps me in the loop. And
everything.
My friend in Montreal. It's really funny how we met. So I don't know if you ever watched this movie. It's called The Room.
No,
it's
I haven't.
A really crappy movie. It's got Tommy Wiseau. It's that famous clip where he's like, I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, it's that clip. You've probably seen it.
I've heard of that.
Anyway, I posted an edit about that, and she's like, oh, cool. And I started hitting her up in the DMs because I'm like, oh, she likes film.
Yeah.
And we've been friends for like literally 4 years. It's insane.
But she lives in Montreal.
Yeah. Well, Quebec proper, but it's crazy though, because she sent me a ton of like really cool stuff there. I've really gotten into the culture, and honestly, I really want to visit. You know, it's like I've never wanted to visit somewhere like that, but like she makes it so interesting, and all the stuff she sent me. Yeah, it's like really fascinating.
I don't think I've been yet, but I've been to Toronto. I mean, it's probably a short drive.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, did you see Drake there?
No. I saw Drake like here in LA.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Like, I saw him perform. Yeah. But not in Toronto. I saw his house too. You could see. I think my cousins had a what is it called? Like a condo, like on a skyscraper, and they're like, oh, you could see Drake's house from here, and they like pointed it out. It's like a full ass penthouse. The whole floor is his.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think I could ever live there because it's like, it feels like LA where like, $1 million and this room is basically your apartment.
It's like
it's
one
honestly,
room.
it's ridiculous over there. I don't know. It's like, that's the problem when like more people start fleeing to a certain area. It's like prices go up. Like my friend Chris is like, he was complaining there's too many people here now. He's like, all the Europeans and Americans, they're coming here. And it's like now it's like a loaf of bread is now like 50 colones or something. 500 colones. I don't know how much it is. Dang. But it's annoying. That's one thing I hate about LA. It's like, it's too overpopulated.
Yeah. It's like, so overpopulated.
This state has 33 million people living here.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that's decreased because a lot of people have fled following COVID and, all the restrictions and all that.
I know a lot of people moved to Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
Like,
I love how in Arizona, the price of living has gone up now and they're pissed. They're like, the Californians stay over there.
I know. The weather's crazy. Like that's one reason why I would never move there. Like I saw the weather. I'm actually going to Arizona in August for like a cousin's trip.
Hot?
It's like 110 every day. Every day, 110.
If I was to live in anywhere, I'd want to live either in New England or like Alaska or Washington. I know those are 3 places, but I made a mistake. I feel like Washington is really cool. It's close to the border, so
Yeah.
And then Alaska, I just really love the ice caps and all that. And then New England is old.
Yeah.
I like
that history. New England's Boston, that area.
Yeah. But the US is definitely like really weird.
Yeah.
It's just got like, you can go to one end and there's a desert. And like California's, if you think about it, California is like all in one. You got desert, forest, ice mountains, the ocean, beaches, it's like
all of it. Yeah.
All of it.
And it's like, especially in this area, like Orange County, LA County, like you could go like 1 hour to the mountains, like in the wintertime and it'll be snowing. And then you could drive like maybe 2 hours and you'll be at the ocean and the Pacific Ocean's right there.
Oh yeah. I love traveling all over the state.
Yeah.
Like I've made it my goal. I want to see every part of California at some point. I've been to most of the missions. Like I've been to Santa Barbara, San Juan.
Yeah.
And a couple other ones.
We had to go to that San Juan Capistrano for like for elementary school. Like they make us go like in 4th grade. You're like, you got to go see this mission.
This is controversial, but I hate that it's being canceled now.
Really?
Yeah, they're trying to cancel. They're canceling the missions because San Junipero, I believe that's how you spell his name or say his name. He was the missionary who settled in California in 1769. Nice. He settled here, and unfortunately, he was not a nice guy.
Really?
There's records of him kidnapping indigenous children and trying to convert them to Catholicism.
Now they bring all this up.
Personally, this is really controversial. I feel like that's not as bad as what the Americans did, where they literally did a genocide in California. Like the native, it's not like Mexico where they assimilated them and occasionally there were incidences of massacres. In California, they literally mass white extinction.
Damn.
Like, no, it's crazy. Like I'm honestly happy they're still around. It's a miracle. Like millions of them were killed. Damn. But yeah, going That's back crazy. To Junipero, his where he's buried in Northern California.
Yeah.
They broke a statue of his. Like there was a statue of him in the church, and it was
yeah, it's all good.
It was decapitated. And it's like, I feel like we shouldn't cancel historical figures like that because he did a lot of bad things, but the state wouldn't exist proper if he hadn't come here. And like, you know, we shouldn't hold them to the same standards. He was not a nice guy, and I don't think he was canonized by the Pope. I don't think that should have happened. I think we should just kind of remember them as they existed. Yeah. You know? Yeah, and the mission shouldn't be canceled because of their controversial history. If it wasn't for those settlements, California wouldn't have been considered so strategic. You know? Yeah,
I think what they should teach is like both sides, you know, like this person was not just only good, but like, of course there's some detriments, and then learn the whole thing. For too long,
they had been portraying him as a liberator of the Native Americans, the savages, you know, he was like converting them. But when in reality, they didn't want to be there. And he'd get mad at them when they weren't doing anything, when they weren't doing what he wanted them to do. So it's like, you know, I feel like if you want to be biased, you should have both sides accounts of the situation. Yeah. Like
that'll make, I don't think anybody will disagree with that. Like they'll say, okay, you have both sides. Yeah. That what else is there to argue about?
With the Mexican Reconquista, I want to hear both sides of the story. I don't want to hear just the Spanish side. Yeah. Like that's why I like it when documentaries focus on the Aztec side, because it's like you can't just focus on one side, because then you're going to be like praising. It's like he was a genius. He managed to conquer Mexico. Sure, he destroyed Tenochtitlan and, you know, killed a bunch of natives, but he was a good guy. He was Christian. Yeah, like they should be like, oh, you know, both sides fought valiantly, and like in the end, one came on top. That's how it should be done. And I feel like blocking that out in California, like blocking out their history, is a dangerous move.
I think that's how
it's censorship in a way.
Yeah, all history should be viewed in that point. It shouldn't be opinion.
There are characters who should be canceled, like shouldn't be remembered at all. I think a lot of Confederate generals, like those guys can go to hell. But there are a couple, like especially ones in Louisiana, like Creoles, you know, like half native, half European, you know, they should be a little remembered because those are the interesting stories people like to hear.
But even with the people that are like those generals, like, yes, they did bad things, but like just if you block it out and never tell people that this happened in history, then history always repeats itself. You know, there's going to be some guys like, why don't we do this? Here's a better way with the, you know, to do things. And, you know, it'll be a detriment to mankind if, you know, if we take away people's ability to look back into history and realize that people have done terrible things. People have done also good things, and make a decision for yourself on how you want to take it. Like let it show you that, okay, I don't want to be this person. Let me be a kinder person. You know, that's how you understand.
You got to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
Like you won't be able to please everybody. There are going to be people that are mad that he's still being remembered, but it's like, you know, you got to appease both sides in a way.
I think
unless you're Confederate, those guys can go to hell. Like I don't think some of those statues should be up still, but I get it.
Yeah, I don't think the statues are
like, I think what they should be doing is not remembering the Confederate generals, but the men who died. Maybe that's the way you want to approach it.
And just like why this happened, like why did we go to war? Like,
that's a whole other subject together. But you could make the argument that the Civil War was just a money war because, you know, the Confederates were afraid of losing their slaves, and, you know, they were afraid it was going to lose their economy. And most of the top generals, like they always portray it as they were proud white Southern folks sitting around the campfire. But in reality, most of those guys came from money. Yeah. Like, you know, they were rich. I think there were only a few that came from like poverty. Yeah. So like, you can't tell me that like those people were like oh, just like you and me struggling for our rights. It's like those people were rich capitalists,
Yeah.
And I feel like that should be focused more in the war because they always try to portray one side is bad and one side is good.
Yeah.
Whereas both sides should get equal
treatment and let the viewer decide. Like, you don't have to think in terms of right or wrong. Just see like what happened. Like you want just see like how did this go? Okay, that's cool. How did this go? Okay, that's cool. Just like that's it. You don't have to pick sides of anything.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But yeah, definitely. I don't think we should cancel certain parts of history because it's censorship. We can cancel Christopher Columbus all we want, but we can't ignore the fact he killed hundreds of Taino natives in, modern day Dominican Republic and Haiti. We can't. And
the disease and all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue some of that was unavoidable, but he definitely was a monster. I mean, he sold people into slavery, So it's not like we can pretend.
Yeah.
I don't think certain things should be named after him, but I don't think his memory should be faded because it's still important. The later generations know what he did.
Yeah. And that allows you to reflect, right? Like that. The only way you can learn there's two ways you could learn things. Like you could learn from your own experiences and you can learn from other people's experiences, and as human beings, as the only species that can do this, like we can write down and share information through language to people hundreds, if not thousands of years later, right? We have that capacity as human beings. No other animal in the world can do this, right? So might as well use that to our benefit to allow other people to realize, okay, this person made some mistakes here. How could you avoid that? Right?
Evaluation.
Yeah. It's a good way to look at it. But speaking of, should we wrap this up? It's a little over 2 hours now, I think. We're like, it's already like 1:30, bro. 1:30.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
I'm fucking hungry now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't eat lunch or anything.
Me neither.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks for having me on, Shyam. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming by.
Yes.
This was a fun conversation too. 2 hours flew by like nothing, right?
Yeah, dude. It's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Two guys.
Yeah. Two guys having fun.
Cali.
Yeah. And I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as well. Everybody listening, watching, appreciate you all. Have a great week. Much love.
Yep.
Peace.
Pura vida.